My name is Fati Abigail Abdulai. I'm the Executive Director for Atarrah Ghana Limited. Atarrah Ghana Limited is a social enterprise in the Upper East that focuses on developing and promoting value chains that are indigenous to the regions we work in, but equally where we find a lot of women in those value chains. We work on value chains such as the baobab value chain, the basket value chain, the shea butter value chain, neem value chain, among others. Usually we target widows and orphans as part of the social enterprise. Our belief is that they feel more dignified when they work for the monies that they get rather than providing charity. Success for me as an entrepreneur is about sustainability of the business. Is the business able to run from one generation to another generation? And for me, that is the key ingredient to be able to define what a successful business is. So in terms of key traits, I must say that I don't think the key traits are the same for everybody. However, for me, based on my experience, some key traits that are really important as an entrepreneur is one, to have a learning spirit. As an entrepreneur, you never cease to learn. You always learn new things. You should equally be willing to share your knowledge to ensure that just having a back and forth with others to know whether what you're thinking and what your goals are actually implementable going forward. So for me, the key trait is just have a learning spirit. So key learning points for me is that one, as an entrepreneur, you should be patient. Many a time as entrepreneurs, we want things done in a hurry, which is not to say it's bad, but just to say that the entrepreneurial journey is one that sometimes is frustrating and slow. And as entrepreneurs, it's good to recognize that patience is the key. The other lesson for me has been to work with people to support you, people that believe in your vision and people that are willing to help what you do. And in the case of Atarrah, we have been blessed to have a lot of people that are equally passionate about what we do and that genuinely bring up their expertise to support us. So I must say that for me, I would say it's my faith. My faith is one key thing that sustains me, but also to say that just knowing that others have your back as well. As I said, the journey is about working with others and as a team, knowing that even when you are at your low points, you have others that have got your back. That is very key to ensuring that you bounce back. So key achievements for us. So Atarrah Ghana Limited, as I said, is more about having social impact as well as being able to have income for most of the women we work with. And so for us, our key achievements have been the fact that we are able to provide livelihood alternatives to poor women that would normally have migrated to the south to seek non-existent jobs. Due to our enterprise, most of these women are now able to stay in the region and also have a living where they are able to stay with their families and just have abundant time and not worry about where the next meal will come from. And so for us, that is our greatest achievement. So in Atarrah Ghana Limited, to form a team, we look at two key things. One, the passion the person is bringing on board. The passion mostly tells us if the person would be committed to our course or not. And then the second is the learning spirit. Does the person have a learning spirit? Because as an organization or as a business, we believe that we are always learning, and we believe that our best today can still become better tomorrow. And so for us, we look at passion and we look at your learning abilities. In the Ghanaian context, investors usually would look at one, your ability to document the work you do. So your record keeping, your books, usually your books should speak for you. And so one key thing for investors is to be able to just look at a glance of your books and be able to tell whether you are making progress or not. The other thing investors look at is the leader and the values of the leader. And so they would look at values such as trusts. Are you a person they can trust? Are you somebody that is transparent and accountable? Are you somebody they can really work with? And investors would look at this. And I think the last thing investors usually would look at is, first of all, will they make profit? Because again, they are investing because they want some returns back. And so they need to be able to know whether the money they are putting into your business will actually be able to yield them back some profits. And these are the three key things that most investors would look out for. To raise your first round of funding, usually it's better to look at family and friends, because once they believe in your vision and they are supporting, then you don't have to always be worried about paying loans that probably the business might not yield some profit, because for every business it's usually a risk, and an entrepreneur is able to take on more calculated risks if they don't have to be worried about returning some of these monies. And so for your first round of funding, just look at family and friends, your own savings, and then as the business grows gradually, people would want to join you. Usually success attracts a lot of people, and so once you start growing and you're becoming successful, then others will start chasing you. Atarrah Ghana Limited raises funds through proposal writing. There are some organizations that probably might ask us to send in some proposals or business plans, and so we equally write business plans and proposals. We attend events and meet people that we believe can actually support our cause as well, and then the profits we make, we reinvest in the business as well to ensure that the business is growing. To grow as a business, we believe strongly that you need to have some research to be able to back you. And so because I said Atarrah is a learning organization, it actually leads the process in most of the things we do. So for instance, to know whether you should grow or not, you need to do a lot of research on your market. How are you growing? Are you growing within your same local environment? Do you want to go internationally? Is it even worth going internationally? And so we do a lot of research, market research, to be able to tell our products that we are churning out there, is it really something that others would want? And if we grow, do we have the capacity to be able to meet that demand? Are we prepared for that growth? And so it's a lot of thinking through, a lot of back and forth, a lot of research to be able to tell. And once all the boxes tick, then you know that this is the right time to grow. To know whether your product is ready actually takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of testing of the product, a lot of piloting, even looking at the branding, the packaging. You need to share with a lot of people to see how they react to it, whether there is a need to change it or not. So for instance, one of our products, which is the baobab oil, we realized that most of the people that would want it would usually fly by air. And so we had to relook at the sizes we were pushing out there, because usually at the airlines they would limit you to a little around 120 ml. With this, it takes a lot of testing. Once you test it, you get feedback, and then you're able to make things better. If the product has to go through some certifications, then that also has to be done to ensure that whatever you are putting out there is safe for people to use. So knowing whether your product is ready is another process. Just keep testing on the market and get feedback, and then you can be able to tell. Now, to know whether you need to move on to a bigger market or the next market also involves some research, as I must say. Sometimes even the current markets you have might not really be saturated. However, from your investigations, you might realize that probably there are bigger markets or there are niche markets that you can actually enter into that would provide you better returns and all that. And so even as you work with your current markets, it's equally important that you look out there for other opportunities, and then once they are there, you grab them. Usually you just make sure that you are prepared for any opportunity that will come your way, and once the opportunity comes and you need to move into the market, you make sure you have the structures to do so. Pillars in building a startup for me is passion. Are you really passionate about what you want to do? Do you believe in what you want to do? Because these are the key. For me, I believe that once there's always a will to do something, you will find the way. There are some businesses that probably even they will go to pitch, and investors will think that these businesses will not work. But once the entrepreneur has the passion, it works, and then people are surprised that the businesses they thought wouldn't work are actually working. And so for me, the key is passion. Once you have the passion and you believe that you ought to do this, you will always find the way of doing that. So for startups, volume or value? I would say value. Usually you start looking at volume when it comes to expansion, but as a startup you need to be able to justify that the service you are providing is actually unique, and Nobody else can provide that service for you, and so I would go for value. The other thing has to do with opportunities for startup, and I think that there are some opportunities for startups. We have some organizations that are providing trainings for startup, and it's important that as entrepreneurs who are starting up, they take advantage of such opportunities. I don't want to mention names, but I know that there are actually a lot of things out there where entrepreneurs can benefit from. In my experience, the challenge usually comes for startups that want to accelerate their growth, and that is where we lack some support in most instances. But for most startups as well, they need a lot of hand holding, not just trainings, but day by day, giving them support, technical support, human resource support, to ensure that they are able to grow as well. One, I think, is to help businesses be able to put in place effective and efficient operational systems. So for instance, things like their record keeping, things like their managements. These are key operational rundowns to ensure that they are able to grow. The other thing I would suggest is actually hand holding. When I say hand holding, it's more about helping them in key decisions. For instance, if you want to sell to the outside market, even understanding some of the terms, things like FOP, what does that mean for a business, in your sales, in your pitch, and all those things. So for me as an accelerator, yes, they would need funds, but also they would need a lot of hand holding going forward. For startups, I would say that for the entrepreneurs, bring your passion to bear. It is what will sustain you going forward. But also to say that as a business, make sure you learn quickly, learn from your mistakes, and don't give up.